Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to Show and Tell 160 something. I think it's 165, but I'm not entirely sure. I didn't think to look before I started filming. Probably something I should have done. It would have just taken me a second, but I didn't do it. So here we are. Coffee. It is 11 o'clock. Like, it's really not that early, but I didn't get coffee before I left for my walk this morning. So I am still drinking coffee. Unashamedly. So, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you will know that I went as Mrs. Frizzle for Halloween this year. I will insert a picture of Pippin and me right here. That was the grand event of the entire week. I am in the middle of preparations of getting ready to leave town for a couple of weeks to help my brother and his family out over Thanksgiving holidays. He is having surgery, so with a little tot running around or scooting around. She's not quite running. She's still just scooting. So I will hopefully have some fun things to share with you guys while I am gone. But it does involve a lot of preparation because I need to switch the house from fall to Christmas. I need to make sure like all the things I'm responsible for Christmas, like gifts for Troy, are bought. Also trying to make sure I have an idea of what projects to take, or I don't know how much I'm actually going to get done. So how many videos would I be filming, where I would set up, what things to take as far as taking things with me to set up. Am I going to start Advent there or here? What's the deal? There's a lot of just logistics I have to figure out still. But I do have my official marching orders for what dates I'm going to be gone. So I got to start getting ready for all that. I got to get the cats ready for all that and make sure that I have their food organized so Troy can feed the cats while I'm gone and not get confused as to who gets fed what when. Troy. But this week was easy. This week it's been work. It's been work. But it's not been that bad of a week. And we did tuck in, we watched quite a few different things, leading up to Halloween night. And we started Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Halloween day. Because Troy took Monday off work. So we were able to watch spooky stuff during lunch. And that was interesting. We've watched the first 3 or 4 of them. It's on Netflix. Some of them were a little twist on a morality tale, kind of like Tales from the Crypty, kind of like, but they're interesting. They're not boring at all. The last one we watched is a coroner. So if you've watched it before, you know which one we're on. It is little shorts. They're little short vignettes, like Tales from the Crypt or something like that. Really enjoyed them. Really enjoyed them so far. We also watched The Girl Who Lives Down the Lane with Jodie Foster, young Jodie Foster and Martin Sheen. Oh my God, that was good. That was, I mean, it's not a horror movie. It's a thriller. Really good. And it always amazes me how Jodie Foster was able at such a young age to command the screen. And there are scenes with her and Martin Sheen together, and they're balancing the screen very well. He can read very strong on screen. So it's very interesting to me to see how her is so young. And she's actually a child playing a child. How she at such a young age is able to command the space on camera so well. Absolutely fantastic. She's brilliant in it. Not that surprises anybody whatsoever. It's a really good movie though, and I really enjoyed it. We also watched another old movie, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, and it has a very young Brooke Shields in it, and that one was a little weird. That one was a little weird. Another, once again, thriller, not horror necessarily, more thriller. I will put that hopefully I put it on the screen somewhere. But we did watch some interesting things that we did not just stick to like your standard horror movie fair. Now we're on to the new season of Cobra Kai finally. So, I spend a lot of time shaking my head. Just at least so far, we haven't had any fights between Daniel and I couldn't remember Daniel's name. Daniel and Johnny. We haven't had any, like, I just spend so much time going, you two need to get out of your own ways. Stop being this way. Stop acting like teenagers. So we've had some fun stuff going on. Anyway. Time for my bucket. Somebody did ask me where I got the blue laundry basket from. This is an IKEA laundry basket. So now you know. Let's start with this. We did get a square done. These are my 2 sport/DK weight scraps held together. 14 corner to corner rows using a size J hook. So that's another one down. Like I said, I need like 90 of these. It'll be a while. I want to cover my full size or king size bed with them. So it'll be a little while. Last night I finished this. This is using Bloom Chunky, Premier Bloom Chunky. I did... So because of the bind off, I used the yellow on the bind off is very, very obvious. Whereas where it switched to the yellow in the cast on is kind of a little bit more delicate. So I will probably flip this way versus this way. I have not woven in the ends yet, obviously. So I cast on 85 stitches and did a knit 3, purl 2 rib for 12 inches and then finished it off to where like the colors kind of matched a little bit. I did find it interesting. So this took 136 grams, I think. I did find it interesting that the bloom section, the flower section, was not even in the same skein. I'm trying to avoid my very orange makeup, which is reading normal, actually, on camera. I not get makeup all over this. But it's a cowl. It will keep somebody's neck warm while it's cold outside. So this was actually gifted to me by Erica over at the Lopsided Crafter. Go check her out. If you have not, go check her out. I am working on a matching hat. I cast on 70 stitches for the hat, I believe. I will tell you guys next week because I'm sure it'll be done by next week. I will work that just like I did the pink one for 1 foot and then begin a decrease. And I haven't decided what kind of decrease I shall do. But I will do one to make it smaller on top. I had 3 skeins of this, so it was the perfect amount to do a hat and cowl. And I will get the ends woven in, obviously. These are not quite my colors. These do make me look just a little sallow. So I will probably be gifting this to somebody whose color palette is a little bit more suited to these colors. I have somebody very much in mind. So anyway, that is done. That is a thing that occurred. I also, while we were watching movies, finished a shawl. So this is the trellis shawl on the Premier website. It does not have a designer's name on it. I purchased this as a kit, and I am not quite sure where I purchased the kit from. It is probably like a Mary Maxim kit, maybe a Hirschner's kit, because I'm not sure who else has an agreement with Premier. This was very, very, very easy to do. Now, this should have been 7 rows down here on the end in double crochets. I opted, however, to do 3 rows of single crochets around the entire shawl and wanted to make sure I had enough yarn. So I stopped at 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet rows, in sequence double crochet rows. So I had enough yarn to do a couple single crochet rows. So the way the increasing is done on this, it is not a steady, solid increase. There is one row that has 6 increased stitches, and it does let the lace panel here kind of go a little wonky. So I needed to firm up the edges. I have not steamed this yet. I will pin this out and steam it, so it will be open more like that versus the, you can still kind of see where the edge is a little wonky into the lace panels, where there's dips and protrusions. But the single crochet rows did help in firming up the outer band. And I thought I was going to be worried with how the yarn moves in color. And oddly, it did not. I think by doing 3 rows, because it gave me an alternate, there was at least 2 colors showing up in the single crochet rows. None of them were perfectly solid one color. See, there's 2 blues and a green. That's a green with 2 blues. I think it ended up making it blend in more with the shawl. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. I do like this lace pattern. I will probably incorporate this into a stole design. I'm discovering I don't use this shape shawl very often. So this will be a little bit longer by the time I block it out. It'll be a little bit longer on the side edge here. But wearing these types of shawls, the direction is a little wonky for me. And I can never quite get them to look right. I think part of it is I am very broad. While I am short, and I could do, you know, just more like a bunchy scarf with it maybe. I am very, very short, but proportionately, I am also very wide shoulder to shoulder. While I am chonky, this part of me is not very chonky. So I do sometimes have an issue with things just not laying right because of the breadth shoulder to shoulder I am. So it's very, very pretty. I will probably be donating this to the Curzon ministry. I might, you know, leave it upstairs, see if I reach it. If I don't, I've had a couple things where I did that, where if I didn't reach for it in a year, I went ahead and donated it. So I might do that. I really love the colors. So this is Premier Garden, and this is the color Morning Glory. And this is a micro acrylic, I believe. Yeah. It says right there, 100% micro acrylic. Premier Garden. I like the yarn. It is still available. It is called Garden Batik, I think now. It has a different name, but it's the Morning Glory color is still this. Like, this is still the same color. It just has a slightly longer name than Premier Garden now. Really like the pattern, though. I will leave it in the description box down below. The cowl does not have a pattern, so that's just a number of stitches that I've worked together. Yeah, I like the colors. I like the design on the shawl. I just wish this was something I was going to get more use out of, but I just don't think I'm personally going to wear it. So like I said, I'll probably donate it. No big deal. Ain't no, excuse me, ain't no thing. That's what I get for trying to be sassy. So I did do some Amazon purchasing the other day. I got notified that one of these was on sale. So I've told you guys before, there are some designers that I just call my yes designers. Stephen West, Stephen B, Tanis Gray are 3 of the top ones that I'm going to love whatever they design pretty much. I might not do the same colors they use. I might not, you know, quite go on theme with something, but by and large, their designs are just yes designs. And Tanis Gray also has done a lot of compiled books where she works with other designers. So she's not necessarily the designer of all the patterns in the books, but they're very similar to her style and her way of looking at things. And I'm not sure which one kicked this off, but one of these kicked up as being on sale. So this is Gradient Knits by Tannis Gray. And I recommend just going on Ravelry, pull up Tannis Gray designs and look at them. I've made a couple. There have been a couple of times where I'm like, oh, I really love that. I really want to make it. I go to look at the pattern and it's by Tannis Gray. And I'm like, really? You're just like stalking me in style. Like you're just teasing me over there. She is also the one who compiled the Harry Potter knits books that I got. Book 1 and 2. Very, very, very nice designs. But this is Gradient Knits. So she discusses how to pull together a gradient and how to use a gradient, how to look at your yarns to build a gradient, which I really, really love. A lot of people are scared of building a gradient. And I understand that feeling. Like if you're not buying like a sock set that is a natural gradient, where you just you get a dark blue to light blue gradient, it can be a little intimidating trying to build, you know, a set for a gradient or even a fade. So I get it. And I really appreciate that she took time to put a couple of pages in here about building a gradient and how to look at your colors. There are some information pieces about actual knit stitches and technique. I love this cowl. I've done a couple Fair Isle projects where you have like a black, frequently is what I'll use, a black or a gray for the solid repeats, and then use a color changing yarn or a gradient set to work down a project. But I liked the projects in here. And, you know, we do have like just a blanket where we're going from a light to a dark through the striping. Thrums. So on the inside, these little floofs here are actually smushing together into a felt on the inside of the mittens over time. I do have a beautiful kit that was gifted to me by Debbie, the Canadian crocheter. Oh, I think my wig is actually pinning it down there, but it's for a set of thrummed mittens. It's a little warm here for thrums, I think, personally, but I really, really want to make some. And I also want to make thrummed socks eventually, using the gradient to do the actual Fair Isle pattern. So they're just beautiful, colorful patterns. And Tarja. And the green there is in a gradient going down the leg. We have a shawl using a gradient that's doing a lace stitch. So it's just a nice combination of the architecture of stitches. And how to look at them. And then the last section, you know, is tools and stuff. So this is Baron Press, which I don't know a whole lot about. We have another one that is another compilation by Tannis Gray. And this is Fresh Knitted Accessories. This is an Interweave press book, which I've said before, I just generally love the way Interweave does a lot of their stuff. They do also do a lot of basic techniques and tools. So, you know, this says it's a 1 skein project. The whole theme of this is 3 skeins or less for accessories. So you kind of walk in knowing what you're going to expect. So this is 2 skeins, but it's a 2-color glove pattern. We have some socks, some hats. You can't really see it. We have a shrug. So the architecture on these are just beautiful. Once again, beautiful patterns. They're very contemporary, very contemporary patterns. They're not, they don't look dated. They don't have that basic look, I think is a good way to say it. They use a combination of different techniques. Once again, just as with the other book, there's cables, there are lace patterns, there are things where you're just using shaping to kind of create a look. Like this has reverse garter or reverse stockinette garter, cables, and we're building a set there. I would probably take that hat just a little bit longer just because I prefer longer hats. We have a couple pairs of socks in here. Once again, beautiful lace work shawls. So once again, I saw this. I saw that they had it secondhand and brand new. I like that mitten pattern. That looks very squishy. So that's book number 2. The other one is Wanderlust. And I think this might actually be the one that kicked this off. But this is Wanderlust, 46 Modern Knits for Bohemian Style. And once again, I just love the combinations. That's a slip stitch pattern. Absolutely gorgeous. This is another interweave pattern book, which also, if there are updates to the patterns, Interweave is very good about having updates on their website. So if you come across something that doesn't quite look right, you can go on their website and see, like, is there an update? Maybe a stitch counts off, a row counts off if you can't quite figure it out. Also, there are a lot of the designers for these are very, very active on Ravelry. And many of them also, you know, have their own YouTube channels and things like that. So you can ask the individual designers questions. Like, that's another very snuggly mitten pattern. And those are that's using a worsted weight. That's the other thing about Tanis Gray's compiled books. A lot of times, and I think it's because the designers she worked with are all a little bit different while keeping in a very architectural design. So there's something very impactful about it, whether it be the architecture, the texture, or the color work in them. All of the people she works with, all of the designers in her books, they're all using different weights of yarn. So, like, there's one pattern I've got in one of the books that is a worsted weight sock pattern, which you almost never see. The sweaters are worsted weight and DK weight and fingering weight. Like, it runs the gamut of size of yarn. So you're not boxed into only one shape, one style, one thing, and one look. And I really, really appreciate that. And I appreciate how many of these designs are very appropriate for multiple age groups. Like, even things that are built like more mature in style, there's a little bit more structure or intricacy to them. They would still look appropriate on a teenager, as well as somebody who's maybe middle-aged, and then maybe somebody who's on the other side of middle age. Like, they don't look dowdy, even though they're more structured and intricate. And I really, really appreciate that. It gives everything a very fresh and clean look in the design, which is one of the reasons why I love Tanis Gray's, like, the designers she works with when she's doing a compilation like this, and her own personal designs. They are very fresh feeling and very clean feeling, regardless of what colors you choose to use, regardless of, you know, the yarn texture you choose to use. Almost all of them maintain that freshness of design versus feeling stagnant. And that's a weird thing. I understand that's more of a artful eye in thinking about things, but it's a problem I run into when I'm looking in particularly at books. When you're buying online or buying individual patterns or something like that, that's not a problem you run into, because you're just buying the one thing. You're not buying an entire compilation of things and hoping to get use out of it. A book, you have 30 patterns in there. You know, this one's, you know, the Wanderlust is 46 patterns. Out of those 46 patterns, I would wear probably 20, 25 things. Out of the whole thing, I would probably be willing to make 40 of them. So that's a really good value as far as like my aesthetic and my wants from a book. And I find the books that Tanis Gray compiles, she's the editor for, that tends to be very, very true. as well as her own personal designs. Her personal designs also have that fresh feeling to them. I'm going to save my other 2 books for next week. They just got here anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and save those for next week's video because we're already at 25 minutes. But just know, we'll talk about 2 more books next week. I'm going to set these to the side. Well, I was going to, but I don't have anywhere to set them. I hope you guys have had a wonderful, fantastic week. As always, I love you guys. I will try to remember to insert some pictures of the cats here at the end of the video. But otherwise, I hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day. I do have a video for Saturday. I will be unboxing my Yarnable and my ALC subscription boxes. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave a comment down in the description or down in the comment section down below. Check out the description box. I will have links for the books that I talked about today, as well as the trellis shawl pattern from the Premier website. So, if you choose to order anything from the Premier website as well, I do have an affiliate code in the description box. So if you wouldn't mind, helps me out just a little bit. I do have some other things I'm going to be discussing with you guys next week because we have some fun stuff that's showing up from We Crochet and Knit Picks. The big sale is coming up. There are some sales already going on over at We Crochet. Go check them out. I have, once again, affiliate links in the description box down below, but we will discuss more about that next week. I love you guys, and I will see you guys real soon. Bye.